Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm Jesse, your DM.
Cody playing Lazarus.
Brennan playing Dis.
Mike playing Nim.
Britt playing Kenna.
And we are Double Doubles and Dragons. We're a group of goofy Canadians that have gotten together to play a little D&D. Sometimes we will say things that are inoffensive. We mean them as jokes, of course, and they're certainly funny to us, but some people may find this offensive. If you do, we apologize, but we don't want any hate mail about it. So just don't listen, okay? Let's jump right into the action. Okay, welcome back, everybody. For those of you that are tuning in from outside, it probably really doesn't seem like we've taken much of a break at all, but for those of us here sitting at the table, we've been down for about 2 months, just working on some stuff, waiting for some people to come back from trips, that sort of thing. So, welcome back formally, everybody. Where we left off, I did listen to the last recording this morning. We were mostly talking about downtime activities last session, so I apologize for people that are listening. We're going to unfortunately have to talk about downtime activities a little bit again, just because, as I mentioned, for us, we're coming back from 2 months of being away from the game, so we've got to kind of get back into things. That being said, I do have a list of some of the downtime activities everybody was talking about, and we're going to set out today how long you guys want to do your downtime, what activities are the most important, how successful they are. We're going to talk about some changes that are happening in the Stronghold while these activities are going on, that sort of thing. So we'll jump into that. I wanted to start with going over what everybody had told me they wanted to do for the downtime, just so that you guys know what I already have and what I've already kind of planned around. And then we'll move on from there and we'll see how that's working out. So for Lazarus, I've got, you were looking to get something from a jewelry shop. Some sort of simple waterfall trinket, maybe made out of iron or wood, something you could set the turquoise gem you have into. I've also got that you would like to try to gain some influence with the church if you can, especially if there is already a church of your particular god or even otherwise. You wanted to look for some exotic material worker or maybe a blacksmith and leather worker to try to fix the carapace armor, as it did receive a fair amount of damage from the explosion and obviously has now had a fairly decent-sized crack in it. It will suffice for now, but definitely the longer you have it that way, the worse it'll probably get. Obviously, your god puzzle, for both you and Dis, that's obviously going to be something high on your list, as I believe both of you now have gotten pretty heavy hintings from your god that those need to get done. I've got... you did also mention, from a character point of view, you wanted to drop Tunnel Fighter to gain... What was the other one you were switching to?
Well, we haven't talked about that one yet, I don't think.
Oh, you may have to talk louder. I'm not sure how...
Oh, well, I don't know. I said, wasn't sure if we had decided on what we were doing with that one.
Yeah, it's more... All I have here is just that you'd like to drop Tunnel Fighter in exchange for something else.
Yeah, it was only playtest material, didn't make it, so...
Yeah.
I mean, probably defense or protection, I think.
Defense and protection. Protection being what? One extra AC and...
No, defense is extra AC. Protections is someone's attacking you, you can use that reaction to impose disadvantage.
Okay. I mean, either of those is probably a good choice. You maybe just let me know, or even if the group has any particular inclination as to which one they'd prefer.
Lazarus gets hit less, or Lazarus can protect people within 5 feet of him with a shield once per turn.
Well, because, Nim already has, a lot of defensive crap. I can already boost my AC up to, 23. So, I don't know.
I think you should get hit less.
Yeah, I think the
How many
AC
concentration spells do you normally use?
Me?
No,
How many concentration spells do I normally use?
Yeah.
Just trying to determine, I guess, if the extra AC would be useful that way.
I mean, most ones I'm using concentration for lately has been magic weapon, Bane. I don't use shield of faith that often because it does take concentration.
Bane and Magic Weapon are both huge spells, though.
Mm-hmm.
maybe helping other people not get hit in that case? Because that's... The helping other people not get hit makes you get hit, or it just blocks attack entirely?
It just gives disadvantage.
So long as I'm holding a shield and someone's attacking within my 5 feet around me, I impose disadvantage by using my reaction.
So really, it'd probably be helping me the most with that, since this will be the closest.
If you're near me, yeah.
Yeah, as long as you're within 5 feet, so you guys would have to slightly adjust how you fight.
I think the AC boost is probably more effective.
Yeah, I think you're right.
The AC boost right now puts, Lazarus is wearing the arming, but I think he was at 19, so pushing
With your Carapace armor, you were 19, so you'd be 20 AC with...
defense.
I
Yeah.
mean, that's pretty solid.
Yeah.
I would do that.
And then after upgrade the full plate, I go to 22.
Yeah, so I mean...
You're never gonna get hit.
Well, you say that.
You're gonna get hit so much less than all of us.
That's true.
Yeah, but my AC's been 19 this whole time, and it hasn't helped. I still get a...
And the last thing you had was you would like to fill in some bits of world knowledge if you can.
Alright, go to the library. Also, I think on the list was to... I don't think Lazarus, as far as I remember when we left off, still hasn't received his ring back.
Your ring back?
Okay.
Ah, good point.
So, like, Lazarus without the ring can't visit the farmer run or anything, so...
Yeah, I think based on how you left things, we can assume that you get it back. It was probably just the guards hadn't had a chance to bring it back to you yet. Because you got off
So,
with the problems that you had, with some intervention from Skinner, so that seemed alright. Alright, we'll move on to Kenna. You'd like somebody to train you in the use of your herbalism kit and maybe your alchemy kit as well?
Yep.
Start using that as a good revenue source, as well as, just having...
Question,
some
don't druids have herbalism by default?
I don't think so. Britt was checking her sheet and she didn't see it.
I think you just forgot to put it on there, though. Unless it was the background. Oh, it might have been the hermit background.
Yeah, because
The
I think
hermit
certain
background,
backgrounds
but
have
I
it.
chose Sage.
Yeah.
So
Sage for the extra languages.
Yeah.
While you look that up, there was the spell scroll option as well.
Being a druid, you automatically get proficiency in herbalism kit.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, so just alchemy kit then. maybe
Then just
like
the
some use
alchemy.
of.
This one.
That's fine.
Why do
I mean, it
have
makes
to
sense.
use
Druids, herbs. You'd like to look into the spell scroll option. I know you guys already kind of looked at whether or not Nim can use scrolls you write to learn any spells that he may be missing, but there was also just the option of selling them to people. It may prove useful. Although obviously spell scrolls do have the limitation of they can only be used by people who can cast the magic in the first place, but they are a nice backup sometimes. You were looking to make some money with the farming rung, selling your ability to do plant growth.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, looking into maybe how much you can charge, get one of the farmers that you've already done it for to vouch for you, that sort of thing. Maybe try to make that work. And also go looking for Kit, should he have survived. Should she have survived? Don't
Yes.
tell me what gender the goat is.
I just did.
All right.
She's a lady.
Dis. Dis went for a bit of a different approach to his downtime activity. I've got research the mill owner, go through any of the taverns, try to figure out what might have caused the fire in the first place, do some general sleuthing of some kind. You also want to look for information on Faylin, see if you can't track her down. God Puzzle, obviously. You'd like to see if you can learn a little bit more about Meyer. Does anybody here worship him? How is that worship done? What other, practitioners can you find of it that can teach you better ways of contacting him or better ways of appeasing him? That sort of stuff.
Can I retroactively go back and change or not change, but add on to what I want to talk to about in taverns? Like
Sure.
the information I was trying to gather?
Yeah.
So not just about the fire and what it started, but also about the night.
Okay.
To stop the fire.
Okay.
And
learn
like
what you
purely
can about
like
the night.
the idea of like how did he get so strong type of thing. For no reason.
No, I think all of that is just fine. And you also said, I'm sure this will make everybody at the table feel perfectly safe, but you would like to attempt to contact the Thieves Guild
Oh yeah.
and raise your reputation with them and maybe look at doing some jobs for them.
That is right.
I think, I don't know if the mic picked it up, but there was definitely a collective sigh from everybody else at the table.
They're my people.
Oh god, every time. Okay, and then the last one I had obviously was for Nim's stuff. I didn't have it written down on a piece of paper, but what I can remember was Nim was going to start up a laundry service. You had already gone a decent way into actually getting that accomplished from what I remember. You'd already gotten a permit for a small space in an alleyway due to the obvious space requirement problems with losing a huge portion of the market rung. And I think you'd gotten the permit, but I don't think you'd done anything else since then.
No, that's about where we cut it off. Was me getting the because I had to go
Clean that whole building.
I had to clean
Yeah,
the building,
yeah.
and I had to get more gold from Kenna because
Right.
I don't trust myself. getting gold.
Because Nim had, what, like 20 gold on him?
Yeah.
No, not even. I had
Oh,
like
you
two.
did.
I had like 2 GP on me, and that was from Lazarus anyway.
And I think, if I remember correctly, you were saying per cleaning you were going to charge, what, like a silver? You were going to try to go pretty low so that, like, the average person
per
could
piece
afford it.
of gear.
Per piece of gear? Okay.
Yeah, so like boots, 1 silver, pants, 1 silver, shirt, 1 silver.
However, he also wanted to get me involved to make it sanctified.
Yeah, extra charge for the druid to sanctify the piece of
Just
clothing.
2 casters sitting there using their cantrips only.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
what do you think magic casters would do to make money? Do you think they're just going to go do manual
No,
labor?
I'm just amused by
that.
it.
Screw that. And I think you
Magic
had something else about you wanted to see if you could get into the library.
Oh,
Yeah,
that actually.
Yeah.
There's something we left off Lazarus' list.
Okay.
Lazarus is also investigating the list of the merchants.
Right. The list of the 3 merchant names. We will see. Okay, so here's the way I would like to get this accomplished, I think. Is there anything else that anybody really wants to add to their list of things that they want to get done during the downtime?
I mean, depending on how much gold Nim makes, he's gonna want to like copy some spells into his spell book.
Okay, that makes total sense. Assuming you can obviously like get to wherever that is and do what you need to do. Okay, that sounds good. So I think the way that we're going to approach this then is the longest downtime activity I have is Lazarus trying to change from tunnel fighter to, I guess, probably defensive.
Yeah.
There's a certain amount of time that the D&D manual sets out for activities like that. Although I am going to shorten it a little with the understanding that, in my impression, there's not a huge difference between knowing how to protect a tunnel from enemies and knowing how to just better focus that defensive energy into defending yourself. I don't think that's a huge logic shift in terms of learning. But I do still think to do it right, we may be looking at somewhere between 4 to 6 months. Is everybody all right with that amount of downtime in the part of the Stronghold you can get to now?
It's a lot of downtime.
It is.
Long
It
downtime.
is.
How many attempts do we get at God puzzles?
If you're open for like the 4 to 6 months, my assumption would be is I imagine you probably take a crack at it every couple of days until it's done. Which I can't imagine you not getting it done in that time.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So, I mean, barring you actually solving it here in front of me, I would assume within 6 months you find the time to solve both of them.
I mean, purely for that reason. It's probably not a bad idea.
No, I don't get me wrong, it's a long amount of time, but I think you guys can get some valuable things from spending that much
Right,
time.
but how can we take that much downtime?
We can't. We have a debt to pay back.
As long as you're continuously paying back your debt, they didn't give you a timeline of when it was due.
But they also said that we were paying back our debt via doing things for them.
Yes, so certain jobs may come up during your downtime that need to be done. I'm not necessarily saying that no player interaction will occur for 6 months, just that little forays we might do within the next couple of sessions might all be within that amount of downtime.
Do we want to be downtime in Stronghold how long? Because we do still have the
Island.
well, yeah, we have the island and promises and all the other shit going on too.
Yep, don't get me wrong, it's a tough decision.
But we have to get married.
Mm-hmm.
It may also help if I start giving you some of the intel you're collecting because certain things are changing in the Stronghold that may or may not make you more or less likely to want to spend that amount of time here, depending on how you take those events.
Ooh, that does give me an idea. So while I'm cleaning clothes,
Sure.
I want to, like, just casually chat with people that, like, the customers, and try to direct it in such a way of, like, trying to garner as much information as I can about what's going on in the Stronghold currently.
No, I think that's definitely, wherever you can get intel from is going to be better than nowhere.
And then I guess if we're doing a longer period of time, I would use the thieves, like when I'm contacting the Thieves Guild, like the motive would be to find where Mary is, shit like that, to take probably more information on that.
My only concern with us taking that much time off is, like, us not being able to access the rooms.
We can pay to go to other rooms, though.
How much did it cost? Was it silver?
Depends which one you buy, too.
Depends on which room.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
Pretty
We
sure
could
that's
just
the
find
DM
some.
answer.
Yeah.
I could just hit on some.
Or that was the
adventurers
answer
and use
anyway.
the rings.
Oh, speaking of hitting on adventurers.
That's right. Don't forget Dis.
You gotta get a gold ring.
I was going to mention it, actually, because it was in our recap of last
Remember,
episode.
I had the booty call.
Yeah,
Remember
he
the
has
girl?
he got a girl's phone number, but he can't dial it yet because his ring's not good enough.
That's right, my cell service isn't active.
Right, so you have a booty call waiting for you. You're gonna wait 6 months?
Well, he has to get the gold ring first.
Ah.
Yeah, but he may. I mean, the Thieves Guild. Who knows?
Yeah, they might have a way out there. I'm trying to figure out where I knew.
Also, if you find a way out of the Stronghold period, that would be good.
that might be
Back
quite an
door.
accomplishment.
A back door that we can pay out and get out of here.
I mean, if anybody has a backdoor out of the Stronghold, one would imagine a Thieves Guild might have such a thing.
Hmm.
But yeah, if you like, you don't have to settle on the answer right now. We can start going over a little bit of the information that you guys are starting to pick up and that sort of thing. And you can make the judgment call then if you like.
Sure.
Might be a slightly safer way of doing it. So let's set out a couple of things right from the start, just so that, and I want you guys to record these down just so that when we figure out how many days you've spent, we can figure out how much money you guys have made. So we're going to start with the easy stuff. We're going to start with Nim's laundry business.
Oh, there we go. Address for Sasha. That's what it was.
Ah, yes.
I did indeed write it down.
Sasha.
What did I have this for description?
Sasha, let me tie this Sasha around you.
Are we still doing, is like all of our money going to the Surf and Turf Bank? Or are we collecting our money?
Lazarus still has his pocket chip on him, but that's it.
So obviously, the money you make will come into your own
Yeah.
pockets. At that point, you can either choose to dip them into your communal fund or not.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll start with laundry because it was the easiest. We'd already agreed on some payment options. So I have 1 silver per piece of cloth with an additional charge for scenting. Now, there's a couple of things we have to figure out there. First being, how much extra are you going to charge for floral scent?
No, it's whatever scent they want.
Using it as an example.
I think probably an extra silver per piece.
Wait.
This feels pricey.
Well, this
Pricey.
place, remember the Stronghold has like weird senses of money. Like,
We do.
This place is pricey.
So we're cutting people a deal at that
Sure.
price.
Sure. Another
Two
silver.
silver for like a clean and scent, but that's pretty.
But we're splitting that. You're not getting all the money from that.
I never said it.
So this brings up an interesting question. Obviously, Nim said he's going to dedicate a non-insignificant portion of his time to this laundry business. Kenna has other plans to make money, so she's obviously not going to be available to the laundry every day you guys are here. So the question then becomes, how often do you think Kenna's going to be able to provide this more fancy service?
I think it'll be like supply and demand kind of thing, because usually like the way dry cleaning actually works is they come drop the clothes off, they get cleaned, and then depending on if they want the scenting, it might take a little longer.
Right.
So, like, I'd say, like, honestly, like, depending on like how much demand there is for it, it's either like a day to 2 days just for a cleaning, and then it could be up to a week for a scenting.
Okay, so you're thinking rather than spend, because usually you can only spend 8 hours a day in theory doing money-making activities according to D&D's kind of general economic laws. So you're kind of saying rather than physically sitting at your store necessarily for 8 hours at a time doing nothing but cleaning clothes, you're going to kind of let a pile build up, do them all at once, and kind of give them back a day or two later type of deal.
Yeah, so
Okay.
then I'm like...
Kind of free up your schedule a little bit. That being said, then, if you don't want to be at the shop all the time, are you getting somebody to man the shop, or...
I think it'll depend on how much money I'm bringing in. I think for the first week or so, I'll probably just be manning the shop every day.
Okay. I can tell you from just how the Stronghold is currently, when over a quarter of your town gets obliterated, it's a surprising amount of dust. People's clothes have gone from pretty clean to pretty dirty pretty fast. And unfortunately, it's not a case of just being able to clean them once. The buildings need to be cleaned, the streets need to be cleaned. All of those activities take a fair amount of time, and during those activities, everything is still dirty. So I would imagine at least the more affluent individuals are probably looking to have their clothes cleaned on a fairly regular basis.
Probably immediately.
So what if, deal making with you, what if I man the shop 3 days a week, and those are the days that I will scent people's clothes?
And then whatever you collect on those days, I just clean later on? Because if I'm
No,
not...
because I'm assuming like you're going to man the shop on the other day, so you'll have the stuff that's already cleaned that I can just scent.
Okay.
But that means that essentially every other day, people's clothes will be scented.
So in interest, if there is quite the demand for this, in interest of business sense, what if I was to charge more for more prompt cleaning?
That's certainly an option. Something like a
I'd go
near
5
instant turnaround is perhaps an option.
Priority service?
Yeah, priority
I mean,
service.
realistically, and you've done it for your own, I was going to say employees, your own party members, you can clean it literally on their body.
Yeah, which I think, like I think an on-the-body clean is probably, like, up to 5 silver, I'd say.
Okay.
Gold.
1 gold on the body clean.
1
I-
gold for the whole body, I
For the
I
whole
guess. you're
body.
And
saying.
one
the whole
silver
body.
to go into the pile that you get back later, I guess?
Yeah, like
That'll
a
incentivize
clean at
the
your
priority.
leisure.
And then you could do 5 silver for priority.
5 silver for next day turn.
How do you get a bag and tag and organize all these people's clothing for the days?
Colors?
Color coded.
Yeah.
I mean, they have paper, they can take people's names. Yeah.
Playing business is just going to turn to a full-time minimum kind of gig.
So, I like do you want me to write down 5 silver now for the body, or 1 gold for the body?
I think 1 gold for, like, just an immediate instant clean. Is that 1 gold per piece, though?
No, 1 gold total.
It's a whole deal, whole body deal.
Okay. Yeah, that's probably good, then.
Okay. So what I think we'll do is, for the sake of just kind of making this easy to work with, I think I'm just going to apply rough percentages to how often I think these will happen, and then when we do the final calculation of how much money you guys are making, we can use those percentages and the days to figure out how you do. So you can clean for 8 hours a day in theory. You guys are going to split it up as best you can. In terms of, so I'm going to say something along the lines of about 20% of the people that come in are going to be looking for that full body instant clean. I mean, it is the market rung. There are some pretty affluent people here that don't want to be dirty. I would say you're probably looking at then about, I'm going to say 40% of the people coming in are only looking for the 1 silver clean they get back in a day or two. And the remaining 40% like that deal, but they'd also like the scent.
Okay.
The scented option. So we'll call those. One thing that you do learn, I'll give you that bit of history now, is the Mages Guild that you've heard about, that you haven't seen yet, is definitely not on this rung. It appears to either be in the guild rung or the library rung. You're not entirely sure. Either way, you've been hearing from people coming into your shop that the mages are very busy performing actions like sealing the breach in the side of the stronghold, trying to make sure more ethereal entities don't enter the stronghold, trying to make sure more demon presences aren't felt, that sort of thing. It has basically tapped their resources almost completely, leaving you with a near monopoly on the library, or on the laundry service within the market rung. Mostly just because most people can't be bothered. There are some people running manual laundries, but they're charging less than you and getting less business overall.
Yeah.
So that has left you with a pretty hefty amount of work. So you may need to decide to hire somebody to man the shop as the weeks turn into months if we decide to go that long.
Yeah, because, like, if I'm off, like, on the library run just reading for a day, I can still come back after, like, 4 to 6 hours of reading and clean clothes.
For, like, 2 hours or whatever.
Because if I just have a pile of clothes, I can just, like, clean the shit out of them for, like, every 6 seconds.
Yep, absolutely. So that will head into another piece of intel. I don't know who to assign the piece of intel to specifically, because honestly, you're all kind of got feelers out for just kind of the general information about how the Stronghold is doing. So rather than say that one of you individually finds out this information, it's kind of something that all of you have come across. A couple of things have changed in the market rung since the breach. First and foremost, travel within the Stronghold layers has been heavily restricted. To the point where any travel outside of where your rings freely take you has been locked down, barring special permission. There are rumors almost daily of ethereal creatures sneaking in through the breach into the market rung, of people being possessed by demons that have snuck their presence through the breach. And due to a lot of this fear, the guard and a lot of the other authoritative responses in the Stronghold have been ratcheted up fairly significantly. Travel outside of the market rung has been restricted. In fact, each one of you individually was told by a member of the guard in no uncertain terms that while you are free to continue using your rings, assisting other people in travel, and most importantly, attempting to travel to rungs that you do not yet have permission to go to, will be heavily penalized.
So, no library run for now.
Not without getting permission from somebody. Which is something you can look into.
Or a lot of stealthiness.
So you don't remember that one time I rammed you, chick?
It was stealthy, right?
I'm just saying, she deserves it.
It's true.
She had it coming.
So that's one piece of information you guys have picked up. Another is, previously, as far as you understand it, the market rung didn't really have a government body involved. Being as most of them are merchants, they kind of value their autonomy. However, since the breach and the damage, it was decided by apparently higher-ups. Perhaps you've heard rumors of a council of lords that make a lot of decisions when the queen cannot make those decisions herself. That sort of stuff. But they apparently made the decision that, for the time being, the market rung needed to be under the central authority of one lord to try to keep everything organized, to try to help with reconstruction efforts and all that sort of thing. So there has been a lord moved from the nobility rung down to the market rung, who has basically taken over the market rung and now runs the entire rung. In terms of how people feel about that, mixed results, as you might expect. Some people seem perfectly happy that somebody in charge has come to take over and try to organize and direct efforts, and other people are, doing the usual, this is the authoritative regime, that sort of stuff. In terms of more information, you guys can try to individually gather information on this new Lord of the Market Rung and see what information you can gather, but this is just kind of the general things that you've heard. You've also heard that the Lord of the Market Rung is one of the people that has been given authority to approve travel between rungs.
Do we know who this lord is?
Everybody just calls him my lord so far. You know it's a him, just based on people's pronouns that they use when describing him, but it seems like everybody just calls him lord or my lord just due to social convention. Let's see. So all of that, believe it or not, happens within the first week of your long rest. Or not long rest, your downtime.
That's a long
It's the
sleep.
longest long rest. What you've kind of gathered from that is the Stronghold does seem to be reacting very quickly to what's happened, and they seem very well organized. Whether for good or for bad, you're not sure. But that's kind of the information that's come out within the first week. Hoping maybe that helps you decide on some things you want to prioritize or how much time you want to invest into certain activities. Does anybody have any questions about that? Feel free. Obviously, you can. If you ask me a question, I'm going to assume it's questions you've asked people, and I'll give you the responses that they would have provided.
Is Lazarus able to go back to the farming run at all?
You are. Excuse me.
Down the wrong way.
Yep. You're free to travel anywhere your ring can take you.
I don't have it.
As I mentioned, your ring was given back.
Oh, okay.
It was basically when they talked to each of you individually to explain to you the new rules, they gave you your ring back.
Okay.
At this time, it is worth noting you have not been kicked out of the Adventurers Guild.
Mm-hmm.
You do not appear to have been demoted. People don't exactly seem happy with you at the Adventurers Guild, but overall you haven't really seemed to have acquired any particular punishment for what happened.
I suppose how has Lazarus' reception been trying to continue to help out the church?
Believe it or not, the farming rung's exposure to what happened has been fairly limited. It's not so much that they don't know what's happened, it's just that the rumor mill works faster in the market rung with more people. The farming rung is a little slower, a little more backwater. They often don't know what to believe when they're told rumors from merchants. It's taken a little longer to get to them. Overall, they know you as a big lizard that's helped put a church together so far and hasn't really caused any trouble for anybody, so they don't really see you any different at this time.
Yay.
They're much more inclined to believe you than whispers they've heard.
Good old honest story.
Yeah. Any other questions, obviously?
Has anything changed to Lil being our handler or anything?
Lil, yes and no. There's been no formal declaration of anything changing. That being said, for the last week, Lil has been unreachable. She warned you ahead of time that she was going to be away for a little while, but you haven't been able to contact her.
Did we ever figure out what level we had to be at? Did we ever figure out what level of adventure we need to be at to start? Or does anybody remember what level we had to be at to leave the Stronghold? Or do you want missions
It was
outside?
like one of the
Way,
top
way.
3.
Yeah, I thought it was quite a
See,
way.
It was one of the
I
higher
think
adventures.
Electrum or Diamond. We had to be. I think Electrum though.
Okay.
Or maybe even Platinum. Oh no, permission to
Copper.
leave is royal approval. I have that noted down.
You've got, so the rankings, just so that everybody remembers, are copper, tin, iron, silver, gold, emerald, diamond, electrum, platinum, and mithril. You guys are currently at iron.
Guess it was.
Right there.
Just need to copy this down again for this book.
So which one? Or do you always need royal approval to leave?
Royal approval was what you were told, though you were told that certain other conditions work, but nothing specific.
Yeah, I think we know that, like, being a part of that guard unit that patrols the forest
Is clearly a way out. Yeah.
Assuming how that's just come after fail.
Well, that's how he told you he bailed anyway.
Is it really something we want to do, though? Because it doesn't sound like Maverick's too welcome back. Like, do we really want to go through all this work of, like, building up all this, like, trust and
No,
stuff?
but if they try to,
Potentially.
pinch us in here
Yeah.
permanently, then we get a bail.
Like, we need to get Mary back to her family, her dad.
So that that village will help us.
Because even so,
And I don't think we're planning on staying with the Stronghold long term.
no.
It's a temporary placement. So eventually, yeah, we're going to be like Maverick.
I mean, there are other things too, like you still have the hearts to worry about, and
Yeah.
because you have how many hearts?
One.
2.
Just no, you have one, but you know where the second one is.
Well, we know where the third one is, too.
I suppose you do know where the
No,
third
we
one
have
is.
2.
No, we've only killed one thing.
You need the help of the village to get the second one. That's why you're here for Mary in the first place. For those of you listening, I don't think we actually recorded that, but we'll cover it another time when they get back to it. It won't really apply for some time.
And we still have to go to the giant and ask for the religious icon for the merfolk, too.
That's right.
That is correct.
Can't forget about the deal you made with the merfolk. Merfolk.
Marrow.
Hopefully-
they also
That's what-
were
Yeah, the marrows. Hopefully your guys have been doing the food offerings when they were supposed to.
Well, yeah.
We kind of read them the riot act about that. So.
Yeah, I mean, nobody likes to get attacked by mermaids that worship Cthulhu. I mean, that's never good. Not that you know they worship Cthulhu, and I haven't even really decided if they do,
I think
so...
he told us Demi Gordon.
Yes, that was the name they gave. So, with that in mind, and maybe since nobody's got any direct questions after that, is there anybody that wants to do their downtime activities first? Anybody feeling particularly talkative or thoughtful at the moment and wants to go first?
I go first.
All right, this it is. You just wanted to get into the Thieves Guild before anybody figured anything else out, didn't you?
I just wanted to puzzle solve.
Oh, okay, well that's fine too. So, we'll do the puzzles at the same time. I figure maybe what we'll do is when we're talking about somebody else's downtime activity, I'll have the both of you work on the puzzles at the same time.
Of course.
Seems a fair way to do it. So, that being said, what do you want to look at first? I've got your God puzzle, researching things through the pubs, looking for info on Faylin, looking for info about the night, looking for what caused the fire and more information about the mill owner, and also the Thieves Guild.
Faylin first.
Okay, Faylin first.
Yeah.
All right. So how-ish do you go about that, just out of curiosity for myself?
So I'd go around to people who are immediately around or worked in the area around where we first saw her or grabbed her from, or where. So I guess this would involve talking to Lazarus to figure it out because I wasn't there originally when they picked her up.
Right.
Lazarus is the only one who saw her. He was in her shop.
So I tried to go to where that shop was after I asked Lazarus where it was, and then I'd slowly go around and just talk to the different owners around
Some of
there.
the shops that they get burned down.
Yeah, it's also true. But and if it did get burned down, I'd look around and try to find the owners, just based on word of mouth.
Sure. How are you approaching these people?
As in, like, aggressively looking for information, or...
Well, just, I mean, because, like, you had for some of this that you would maybe just try to, like, get into the taverns and kind of do that.
Okay.
But in terms of if you're going to go talk to these shop owners, how do you pitch yourself? Are you telling them why you're really there? Are you pretending to be somebody else? How are you
I would go
trying to get this
around
information?
looking, pretty obviously looking for information around it, probably in trying to seem like the goal is to open up, like, an area that was similar, or a shop that was similar to hers.
Okay, so you're pitching that maybe, like, you maybe not even are a fortune teller, but, like, you
Yeah.
know a fortune teller.
Yeah, basically, like, I'm their agent trying to go around and set stuff up for it, because I can't really play myself off as the mystic type, so...
Okay, that's fair. Roll a deception for me. We'll just see on a general level how successful you're... Actually, I'm going to do, not a deception,
Performance?
performance, thank you.
performance.
Yeah, just because you're kind of going to be playing a role while you do this.
But I'm deceiving people. I'm
You-
pushing for
you-
the one to have 6 more for.
You absolutely are. If you tell a bald-faced lie, I'll do deception. But if you're trying to just, in general, pitch yourself as something you're not, it feels a little more performance-y. That being said, these are just simple merchant folk, so it's not like the DC's crazy high.
8.
Okay, not too bad. So, a couple of things Dis figures out within, I'm going to say within the first 2 weeks, just to kind of see how much longer you guys want to do things. So, you get the information from Lazarus as to where Faylin's shop was. And your initial pitch, as you mentioned, is to try to go to that area, see if you can find her, see if you can find people that might know her to talk to them about what she did so that your client can do the same, and just using that as a way of trying to gather information. So a couple of pieces of information you gather rather easily with just your own 2 eyes are that her shop is strange. You get the information from Lazarus as to where the shop is, and as Lazarus indicated, it was actually very near to the edge of the blast radius. It actually takes you 3 days to meander your way through the guard that has that area cordoned off.
Okay.
You basically do that by, I believe at one point you basically pitched the guard that you knew a lady he might like, and kind of brought him up for a blind date with just some random woman you found at a bar, and then you ran. And a couple of other activities that were successfuler than others sometimes, but after a couple of days, you managed to squeeze through with your story. Faylin's shop was almost completely on the border of the edge of the blast. All of the buildings around hers were significantly damaged, though not completely destroyed. Wall sections broken off, windows shattered. Several of them had the second level roof collapse, but the main level remained intact. Stuff like that. They weren't completely obliterated, but they were heavily damaged. Faylin's shop was not damaged in any way. The windows are perfectly intact. The door doesn't even squeak on the hinges. The building is immaculate compared to the buildings around it. When you approach the building, it definitely appears to be closed. The lights are out. There's been some sort of shades or curtains drawn over the windows, and there is a big sign that has been placed on the door that simply reads, "Away for a time, will return when relevant." The next perhaps obvious question is, what do you want to do at that point?
So after that, I would try to find the owners of the places around hers that were destroyed.
Okay.
I guess the way I try to do that, same way, just like going through bars and stuff, figuring out who was next door, because I'm assuming it's probably a bit weird. There are people who probably find it a bit weird the Faylin shop still plays standing, so might be able to target around the people a little bit easier.
Weird is perhaps an understatement. Roll a persuasion check for me, just to see in general how well that goes.
Sure. 9.
Okay. So you go looking around, and a couple of people you do find in bars, which is a little nice because you can grease the wheels a little bit. You do end up losing 5 gold to wheel greasing activities. That being said, both through them and through a couple of shop owners that you actually find simply enough literally working on their shops, trying to get them back into working order, you find Faylin was not well liked by her neighbors. Maybe it's hard to say if they disliked her before the event so much, but definitely the fact that her shop has survived has left a sour taste in her neighbors' mouths. Several of them have used terms such as witchcraft, unnatural. Several people have claimed that they think she might be possessed by a demon of some kind. Really, rumors are swirling about this chick who was lucky enough to have her business remain completely standing. That has made your job a little bit more difficult, however. In people's fervor to hate her, you get a lot of stuff that sounds like misinformation or rumor. Things like, one guy even goes so far as to tell you that he's almost positive she was harvesting children to make her potions. Nonsensical stories like that, though you can find no evidence of children missing in the area, so it doesn't really line up. But through all of that kind of sleuth information gathering, you've determined that Faylin's shop has only been there for 3 months. The building was previously abandoned before that. It was fixed up basically overnight to facilitate her shop. People very rarely saw anyone go inside it, outside of several descriptions of a big lizard going inside. And then she was gone just as quickly. She hasn't been a fixture of the neighborhood. She's almost as little known as you are.
That gives me a really big question.
Absolutely. I assume, unless you tell me otherwise, all of the information that I give to each of you individually, you freely share with the
Okay.
others.
So I'll just say my idea out there is there may be something having to look into as to why the greeter brought us there. Brought Lazarus there. There could be some sort of... The greeter brought me to that shop.
Yeah, just find out.
So there might be something to look into there. Someone manipulating somebody or somebody else higher up. There's more than just one person involved here. Someone who has control of the greeters might be involved.
If you've learned nothing else from the Stronghold so far, each one of you, it's that everything here has several layers of bureaucracy to get through. Sometimes it works to your advantage, like with Dis, who even one of the guards you got past simply by saying their manager said you were supposed to be there and they didn't have time to check.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's worked to your advantage. Is there anything else specifically that you would continue to push for with her? Are you satisfied with the information you found so far? Would you like to go deeper?
I'd probably just leave that piece at just the suspicions of, or more about once I got the 3-month info that she's only been there for 3 months, and that basically the way it is now, we're not going to get much more information because it's all kind of shaded by what she's or what people think she's done.
Yeah,
So-
your most common response when you ask if people might know where she's relocated to has been back to hell where she came from.
Yeah. So I'd leave it at the weirdness of her setting up like overnight and then just only being there for 3 months.
Being that her building is intact, do you contact one of your more magically inclined people to take a
So
look
one
at
of
that?
the last things I would do, most likely, is I'd wait until later at night or something like that, or at a time when people weren't around that area, like nobody was around that area, and try to sneak
Into the shop itself?
into the shop
Okay.
itself. But I do it with trying not to break anything. If I saw that it required breaking something physical, I wouldn't.
Which is
Okay.
really trap the entire house at once.
No, I mean, that's totally fair. So, do you bring anybody with you for this?
I would have passed the idea off around people, so I'd bring
Whoever wants to
Nim
come, I
would
suppose.
Probably, yeah, it'd be anybody who wanted to come, but I'd probably favor Nim because he's a little
Lazarus
stealthier.
Yeah, Lazarus isn't quite the stealthy.
And
I'm
brings the med
super
book.
stealthy.
I mean, you are
But
a
Nim has a
naked
little bit
lizard
more-
right now.
Knowledge about the arcane for this type of thing.
Why does it have detect magic stuff?
+2.
Definitely breach the subject.
Definitely
is
+2.
Definitely +2. Okay, so Lazarus is maybe out. But I mean, I assume you breached the subject to the party.
Yeah.
So who's interested in a little nighttime B&E?
Hey, there's no break. It's just enter.
Yeah, no, I don't think that works as a legal argument, and I'm not sure it's going to work as an argument here.
It's gonna be
But yeah,
quick.
who's interested in trying to get into Faylin's shop?
I'll come check it out at least. I don't know if I'll support breaking and entering, but I will check it
Also,
out with
especially
magic.
since they've seen Lazarus go into that shop previously, Lazarus shouldn't be there.
Okay, that seems fair. Kenna, you comfortable with leaving these two to their shenanigans, or would you demand to be taken along as well?
No, they can do it on their own accord.
Okay.
I'd probably repeatedly go over, I'm not gonna go in if there's anything that's gonna warn. But that's why I want him there, so he can check and see if there's possible something.
Alright, so I'm not going to require any stealth rolls. You've already got a line into this area, and sneaking around at night in a heavily demolished area that is already stretched very thin on guards is probably not going to be that much of a challenge for seasoned adventurers such as yourselves. So, you and Nim arrive at the building at night. What's the plan?
I immediately cast Detect Magic.
Okay. Nim's eyes shade over silver with the Detect Magic. And what do you say to Detect Magic these days?
Magic sea stuff.
Magic sea stuff.
I really wish we could record the hand music that came with that magic sea stuff. Okay, so your eyes shade over, and there's definitely some magic here. It's still active, in fact. There is a fairly... I wouldn't call it a powerful enchantment. Like, it's not like some of the other magic that you've encountered that seems to, like, sear the retinas. But it's, how to better describe it? Whereas some of the magic you've dealt with has been more of the raw, natural kind, where it's really just all about how much power is behind it. This is a very... You almost miss it when you cast Detect Magic the first time. It's a very carefully woven, carefully constructed enchantment on the building. It's woven into the bricks of the building itself. With even forethought thought towards kind of making it difficult to find with Detect Magic. The weave itself of the enchantment is between each brick layer. So the only reason you even saw it at all was there was a couple of places where the bricks were a little looser and you could catch faint glows of the enchantment. So its power isn't necessarily as strong as some things you've seen, but it's been very meticulously constructed.
Alright. Well, I'm gonna roll Arcana to see what kind of magic it is.
Sure.
Oh, that's a +8. That's a 10.
Okay. So you take a look at the stuff, and at first, all you get is the base. It's some sort of enchantment magic, which isn't particularly helpful. However, not wanting to be deterred, and certainly not wanting, Dis to stumble into something horrifying, you spend a little bit more time looking at it, and upon closer inspection, it becomes clear to you that this enchantment was set up to defend against a very specific threat. Normally, when you have an enchantment magic, like even the shield that you use to raise your AC, it's a very generally worded spell. It's defend me or block things from hitting me, that type of enchantment. This is very specific. It's almost exclusively around redirecting wind currents around the building instead of allowing them to build up on the building. It doesn't defend against fire. It doesn't defend against physical attacks.
So
it's just wind.
Which is literally what blew down all the buildings. So there's a lot going on here.
It was specifically engineered to defend against a very particular threat.
Alright, so I'll tell Dis this. So Dis, there's an enchantment on the building? It's kind of weird. It's like she knew there was a shockwave coming because it's only, designed to defend against shockwaves, essentially. It's like wind currents just go around it. That's why it's not damaged.
That bitch. That's what I say. We gotta tell people that... Can you tell how long this enchantment's been here?
Can I...
Do another Arcana check.
Ooh, that's better. 27.
Okay. Now that Nim has a handle on what the enchantment is supposed to do, he can much better reverse engineer how it was cast, where it was placed, and he works his way down to the bottom left corner of the building, and he goes, there, right there. That's where it started. And he figures out that it was cast about 2 days before the event.
Oh.
So, right when Lazarus got her, essentially.
Yep.
Nearly exactly that time. Probably several hours before he showed up.
Oh, shit.
This was planned.
Oh, man.
We're nothing but pawns!
Oh,
yes.
it's an old lady.
We literally walked into this place and got surrounded by 24 strings.
Oh, God.
With that in mind, Dis, anything you would like to try in terms of... we can obviously have you check the doors, windows, see if there's anything you can...
Do you think it's safe to have a look around inside?
I don't see any, like, divination magic or...
Nothing so far. Just the enchantment for wind.
Okay. And, like, if I analyze the door, there's nothing on the door that suggests it's, like, alarmed or anything?
Nope, nothing you see.
Okay.
I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna look around, like take another look around the area and make sure nobody's watching, and then try to sneak up. I'll look back and see if anyone wants to. Okay, and then I'll go up to the door and I'll try to mess with the lock and get in if there even is lock. I'll first try to just open the door straight up. See if it's locked.
That's good.
It's a good plan. I was really waiting for I whip out my toolkit and spend 6 hours trying to open the door.
They won't budge.
But no, you kind of give Nim a, hey buddy, you coming with me? And he gives you the thumbs up and you reach out and you turn the doorknob and the door pops open.
Slowly open it and super tentatively step in just in case we miss something or there's a physical trap.
Sure. You take a tentative step inside, and I'm not going to require a perception check. You're not really fighting against anything. You take a look inside, and Lazarus has kind of explained to you a little bit of Faylin. Obviously, he's told the party how they found her, what they were brought to the store to look for. That story seems very confusing to you. This shop has clearly never contained anything.
Okay.
There are shelves, but they are completely empty. And they are covered in a fairly thick set of dust.
The book.
Is there any weird magic inside?
Is there any weird magic inside?
I think you would still have your detect
it lasts
magic. It's
10
10 minutes.
Yeah.
Inside, it seems perfectly ordinary.
What is happening? This isn't how Lazarus explained this place. I wonder if it was
Actually,
all
Nim was
I
with
just-
him,
I
wasn't he?
just sneezed.
Who was with you when you went to go see Faylin?
Yeah, it was
I
Nim.
think you were chilling in the background of it.
No, I went in with you because we were looking for the things for Father Maxi.
Yeah, the candle and the...
Yeah, but I remember you entering the shop. That was it.
Yeah, I
I
didn't
think you were
interact with
just kind of by the door. So yeah, you would have remembered the stuff changed.
Okay. So yeah, it's definitely different than you recall as well.
Is there any possibility that was an illusion before?
I can't detect, uncast magic.
You don't have time traveling perception.
Do you want to take a look at the
I thought
rest
you
of
were
the
a
building
divination wizard.
on the inside? So far, you're just in the main
Yeah,
shop front room.
specifically what I'm going to look for is a secret entrance to a basement.
Okay, gonna do some investigative work.
Yeah, I'm it feels like there's a secret here. And I'm going to get in the on all fours and just comb the ground.
Okay.
I
In
think is
all
good.
the room, are you gonna check everywhere, or just this front room for now? What's kind of the plan there?
I see Dis doing this. Nim's like, why don't I check the floor and you can go check upstairs for a minute because, I'm a lot closer to the floor.
I mean, that only makes sense. I'll get up and go upstairs.
Okay, fair enough. So the way we'll do this, let's have an investigation roll from both of you. We'll see what you find.
Oh boy. It's an 18 for me.
It's a 4 for me. I rolled a 3, 4, and 5.
All right, not great rolls for this today. We'll take our break here really quick, and then when we come back, we'll let you guys know what you find.
Exciting.
Wow, what a cliffhanger. I wonder what's going to happen next time. Seriously, guys, thanks for joining us. Thanks for listening in. If you liked what you heard, share us with your friends. If you hated what you heard, share us with your enemies. Seriously, though, like, comment, subscribe. We'd love to hear from you, and we'll find out what happens to Double Doubles and Dragons next time.